Hi everyone, I'm Gabby and welcome to the very first episode of the Modest Society podcast. I am so excited, but I'm also fairly nervous. But thank you for those of you who are watching on YouTube. Hi, and thank you to those of you who are listening to this podcast on Spotify. I really appreciate you clicking on this and trying something new, and I just hope that you can connect with my story or some of the takeaways that I have. And if you do, I would ask that you would please send this to someone you know and someone who you think would just like benefit from this podcast. And yeah, I can't wait to see how this community grows, and I can't wait to see who it reaches and the lives that it impacts. So this episode will be an introduction to myself, the story behind why I've started this podcast, the story behind the podcast name, a little bit about my story, and talking to you about my intentions behind this podcast. And then we're going to end off with some takeaways that I have that I've learned from these 23 years of life. So I first off want to start with an all about me. So growing up, I loved all about me posters or even like the all about me presentations that we would do. I just loved them so much. And that was my favorite thing about starting school every year, was just getting to learn about the different people who were in my class and knowing like the new things of, oh, this is gonna make us be friends. Like getting to relate on like our favorite foods or our favorite color, or if this person has like a really cool pet. Like some people had gerbils and they would like name their fish different names, like Boris. Like I don't know, it was always fun for me to learn more about people, and I think that's why I love podcasts so much, is because like you can learn so many different people's stories, and in that like short amount of time of like a 30-minute or to an hour, like you get to learn about someone's whole life story. I mean, their career at least. But anyways, okay, so a segment that I want to have, like the reason why I was telling this is because a segment that I want to have on my podcast is like a 5 questionnaire, like all about me, for all the guests. And so I'm going to start off with mine because I'm the host and I want you guys to like learn a bit about me. So although I may not look like it, I am a senior in college. I am very, very excited to be graduating college this year and starting this next chapter of my life. And I feel like school is such like a never-ending feeling until college. So like seeing the finish line, I'm like very excited. My favorite color is pink. It always has been. I think it always will be. I'm such a feminine and like girly person. Growing up, I used to wear like these different patterned headbands, and I loved wearing skirts over pants, and I loved accessorizing my uniforms because I went to private school sometimes growing up. I didn't always, but like middle school and high school, I went to private school, and I loved finding a way to like make my uniform like reflect my own style. My favorite TV show is definitely Sweet Magnolias. I love the small town feel. I love the Magnolias relationship and how they're sisters, and how they see the good, bad, and the ugly of each other, but also like come together and like always support and like love one another at the end of the day. A book that I'm currently reading, I'm reading a lot of books. I love rom-coms. I love sci-fi and like fiction, but I also love self-help books. So a self-help book I'm currently reading is Relationship Roadmaps by Stephen Chandler. I go to Union Church, and he recently released that, and I've just been going through it, highlighting and annotating, and that's my favorite thing to do when like reading self-help books. It's just like going through it slowly and really like learning and taking the time to reflect from them. And then a question I'm going to ask every single guest is what they want to be when they grow up. And my answer has definitely evolved over time, because in elementary school, I did not know what an entrepreneur was. It was such a big word. Like, I don't think I actually heard it for the first time until like middle school. But when I was younger, I would say that I wanted to be a fashion designer. But in my head, that was like an umbrella statement, because I was like, yes, I want to be a part of the fashion, but I also want to know about the marketing, and I want to know about how a brand is like made, and getting to see how it impacts people in the creative side, and so like all of that goes under entrepreneur. So short answer, entrepreneur. Then I also wanted to talk about the story behind why I started this podcast. So I have wanted to do content for a while. I grew up watching YouTube. It is my comfort platform, if you will. I just love to go on there to like see podcasts instead of just listening to them. I love my content creator like bubbles, if you will, like the sports people, then the fashion people, and then people who will do like their daily routines. Like I really enjoy all the different like pockets of content creation that, I don't know, I just feel like they're different on YouTube. My sister and I, when we were younger, we used to do like mukbang, I think that's what's called, mukbang videos, and we did like Taco Bell, and we would like try all the, I don't know, I just remember like making like hilarious YouTube videos, but like never posting them. And so I'm happy that like with this podcast I'll get to like post on YouTube. Anyways, you'll notice like I'll have these like different tangents in my mind that'll just like I'll spill out of me, I guess. And I have ADHD, so you'll see like a few tangents in every episode. I hope you enjoy them. So I was very insecure and anxious for people to get to know me, and I was thinking way too much about what other people thought, and that definitely led to me delaying wanting to create this podcast in the first place. It's not my first rodeo. I actually had a podcast 2 years ago, I think, and I went through a health crisis, funny enough, a few weeks after I recorded and like posted them. And during that time I had a ton of alone time, and during that time I was sleeping a lot and going to appointments and stuff, so I had a lot of time to just like reflect and spend time with God. And at 4:14 every morning for 1 week, God decided to consistently wake me up, and he put it on my heart that I needed to use my voice and stop trying to sound like, be like, and become someone else, and just stop hiding who he created me to be. And then I looked up Esther 4:14. Well, I was reading Esther, and then when I came upon Esther 4:14, I was like, wow, okay, I've been waking up at 4:14 every morning. I think this is why. Like, it was one of those aha moments. So I'm just gonna read it for you. It says, "For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." So it was really weird for me to read that, because I've heard the verse before. I grew up in church, and I went to a Christian school, so I've heard that verse before, but the "for such a time as this" really spoke out to me for the first time, and it was kind of my okay, it's go time verse. And this year, well, this past year when I was 22, it was truly a year of healing and self-reflection and change. And I'm not at the finish line yet, but I've really gotten to a great place mentally, and I think that I'll be able to build this community sustainably, because I have a tendency to like burn out when I start things when I know that I'm not at like a good place. So I really wanted to make sure that when starting this, I wanted to be at the best like headspace I could be. So that's also why I'm launching this now. And I just want to have fun with this podcast and not allow fear and my insecurities to drive me. And I, like, during that time when I was 21 and like the alone time and reflecting and everything, I was really like, okay, I don't want to live like this one anymore. I don't want to always have at the forefront of my mind thinking, what are people thinking about me, thinking about all these different insecurities and imposter syndrome and just a ton of like negative mindsets. I was like, okay, I don't want to live like this anymore. So yeah, that was just a year of getting rid of that mindset for the most part. like I said, I'm not at the finish line, and I still have those moments of like triggers and not feeling the greatest about how I look or whatever. But I can definitely say that I'm the most confident I ever have been, and I really hope that that comes across in my podcast episodes, and that you will also find confidence in yourself and knowing that God created you for who you're meant to be, and that He didn't make a mistake with you, and that you're a beautiful, extraordinary, amazing person. So, why is this called the Modest Society podcast? Well, part of the reason why it's taken me a minute to start this as well is because I feel like naming stuff has a lot of pressure. Like, I feel for parents, like when you have to name someone, like that's a lot. You know what I mean? Like when my parents named me Gabrielle, it was either boy or girl. I was going to be named Gabriel or Gabrielle, but I'm like, how do you even like name someone? Like, is it from you just looking at their face? Because especially like a lot of people will name their children when they're still in the womb. Like you haven't even seen like their actual face. Like they have the 3D printed stuff now, but I feel like it's just hard. And so when naming a podcast, I was like, oh, this is a lot of pressure. But when I was brainstorming and looking up like if names were already taken and everything, I didn't want my name to be a part of it, but I knew that I wanted it to have something to do with like a club, a community, a society. And then the Modest Society just like came out of nowhere. I mean, it didn't come out of nowhere, like God inspired me with the name, but it just came to me and I was like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. And so I kept thinking, what is the Modest Society? Like, what does that even mean? Like, how do I want to also like explain this to people? And so I looked up on ChatGPT what is the definition of a modest society, and it said a community or culture where modesty is highly valued and practiced in various aspects of life, such as in behavior, dress, and social interactions. And then it continued to say modesty in a society could also include expectations about how individuals present themselves, often with an emphasis on modest clothing or conservative values. So I believe that modesty is more than just the clothes that we wear. I know that especially for Christians, we talk a lot about modesty in terms of clothing and like not showing different things or whatever. But I think that modesty is a heart posture. I think it's a lifestyle, and the way that we live and like the way that we carry ourselves is a lifestyle of modesty. So I hope that that also like comes across in this podcast, that modesty is just like more than the clothes that we wear. It's the way that we speak to people. It's the way that we show love to ourselves, the love that we show to other people, and just how we live. Okay. And then my intention behind this podcast. So my like mission statement, I guess, is through this podcast, I want to create a community of women who are in different seasons of life but connect with other women through wanting to make a positive impact on the world, lead with grace and love, and become the best versions of ourselves. So I'm like huge on change and becoming the best version of yourself and like living a healthy lifestyle. And in the future, I would love to have events of like working out or creating like bracelets or painting, and I don't know, having like a huge friendship circle where we can like laugh, cry, and like tell stories, and where girls can also become friends like at these different events. I just love girlhood and hope to, I don't know, just like create events where that's possible. Then I just want to say that this podcast is not just for like people my age. I hope that it's also for people in high school, moms, sisters, aunts, like any woman can truly listen to this. And I hope that you're able to connect with it. And through every episode, I hope that you feel valued, loved, and seen. And I also hope that it inspires you and positively impacts your life and just brings you joy and a smile to your face. So my story. I feel like everyone has a podcast, and you're probably wondering, like, why do you have one? Why are you starting one? Like, what makes you different? Like, what is the purpose of me listening to this? And I love context. So, I want to start by saying that it's kind of like a challenge for me to like open up and talk about myself. Like, I was definitely that person where people go to and share their life story. Like, I feel like a walking elevator person or like an airport passenger, you know what I mean? Like, if people think that they're not going to see you again, like they'll just like sit down and share their whole life story. I feel like I'm kind of that, but I have a difficulty with like sharing me and like doing that with others. Like, I don't really recommend like dumping your life on like someone, but at the same time I feel like people do that because you know that you're able to say whatever, like you'll never see them again. But anyways, I digress. So I intentionally kept my past and my personal life hidden because I didn't want people to really know about my struggles and dealing with different trust issues and stuff. But I really think that it's healthy to let people know about who you are and not try to live with this way of always making people perceive that you're perfect. It's really not helpful, and again, it's not healthy, like living with that pressure and that stress of always trying to live like you have everything together, because none of us do. And it's truly okay. Like, I don't know, growing up I always thought that we need to have this idea of, okay, I'm fine, like it's okay, but it's okay not to be okay. So I'm from a small town in Maryland, and it's kind of country, kind of suburban. It really like depends on the road that you're on. It's like farmland in different areas, but then it's also like these cute little town centers. Yeah, it really like, depends on where you are. I was raised in a Christian household with my parents. I have a little sister, and then I have an older brother, so I'm the middle child. And then I also grew up with my older cousin. I was diagnosed with ADHD at age 8. So again, you'll probably notice like my different tangents. And I hope that you, yeah, just like enjoy them because they're just funny for even me. But I thought that like having ADHD, like getting diagnosed with something was really hard for me when I was younger, because I was like, oh, like it's another thing that makes me different. And I think that ADHD is amazing. I feel like it's a superpower. My mom growing up always used to say that, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't have this, so like you don't understand that this is like life ending. But it really isn't. It's really cool that our brains are able to think of 1,000 things per minute, and it's really amazing for people who own businesses and are creatives. Like, a ton of people have ADHD, so if you have it, welcome to the club. It's really fun. I grew up loving dance, but I also played a ton of sports. I played swim. Well, playing swim isn't a thing, but like the first sport that came to mind is swimming. I swam. I did basketball, soccer. I did track. I think that's it. Yeah. So I was just thinking about all of them. And then, excuse me, I went to a lot of schools growing up. I was bullied, and so like every 2 to 3 years I would move schools, and I was always the new girl. And I think that's why I've really grown to love change and switching things up all the time, like because I didn't have like the stability of like school. I was always like, oh, like I love doing new things. Like my room, I don't like keeping it the same. Like, I like changing it up, like the formation of it, and redecorating it every few years. Then my high school years. So high school was really hard. Like, school in general can be hard because kids can be mean, and again, like bullying and everything, and cliques, and really trying to figure out who you are and what you want to do with your life, because then college is like right around the corner, and then you're just like, what in the world? Like, I'm going to be an adult soon. So all the things. And during high school, I really struggled with like depression and anxiety and a ton of insecurities. And like, if you dealt with any of that, I am sorry and I understand. And I hope that, you know, that life will like get better if you are a high schooler and dealing with all of that. And high school can be really hard, and I really feel for you. And I hope that in the future there will be more like mental health services in high schools, because it can be a really hard time for everyone. And then college. So I'm a planner. I love my planner. And like, it's like my emotional support, like getting to know that, okay, I have my to-do list for the day. I know how my month's gonna look. I know how my year's gonna look. I love planning ahead and having, I don't know, just plan. It allows me to feel a sense of peace and comfort knowing that I do have that safety of the plan, I guess. And so COVID sucked at first. It was definitely a double-edged sword later on, but at first, when it was spring break and then we're gonna stay quarantined for a little while, and then, oh, actually it's gonna be longer than a little while, it's gonna be a whole year, and then kind of a year and a half, and then turned into 2 years kind of, and things were just like opening up and everything. But during that time I was like consistently working out. I learned how to bake, and really leaning on God during that time and getting to have a closer relationship with my sister was amazing. But on the other hand, because everyone was quarantined, we were all on social media, and I was definitely comparing myself and questioning, what am I going to do with my life? Like, is COVID going to be longer than just this year, or is this going to last like forever? Like, what's going on? And I definitely felt purposeless. And because I was just at home all the time and having that same routine again, I'm a person who loves change. Like, yes, I love a plan, I love a routine, but I also love different environment and getting to meet new people and trying new things. Like, because during that time it was like, okay, like you have to be at home. Like in Maryland we didn't have a curfew, I don't think, but I know that it was just a rule of everyone just being in our homes so that we don't like affect other people. So I was feeling very anxious like being at home all the time. So I was like, okay, I want to like go to college when like things started opening up again and there were like less restrictions and stuff. So I went out of state for college, and those were like the 2 hardest months of my life. But it was also a blessing in disguise, because I got to know myself a lot better with being independent and cooking for myself and having no one being like, okay, you need to wake up for school, and just really like trusting myself also built a lot of confidence. And during that time it was also like kind of traumatic, and so that left me moving home again. And during that time I was like, oh, like, I don't know, just like feeling like a failure of trying something new and it not working out, and then like moving back and kind of feeling like you went back to square one. It was really hard. But again, one of those blessing in disguise moments where I'm really able to have the time of reflection, like because I've been doing online school, and I'm able to say that I really have a great footing on who I am and who I want to be. And when I was 21 and dealt with like the health crisis and getting to be at home, I was very grateful that I was with my mom and that I was able to take the time to rest and really figure out, like, yes, during COVID I was doing Pinterest boards and journaling a ton, but also because I was on social media a ton and just like comparing, I don't think that who I was writing, who I wanted to be, was really who I wanted to be, because I was trying to become these other people that I was watching all the time and listening to and allowing them to really influence my life decisions. And so when I was sick and everything, I wasn't on social media as much, and I really reflected on life. And when you like go through a moment of like being sick and almost dying, it's one of those like, I don't know, concrete moments of whoa, like life can really go at an instant, and life can really go by very quickly. And so I don't know, I'm kind of like on a tangent of like what I want to say, but during that time I was really able to reflect and figure out who I want to be, and who am I like at this moment. Like, I don't know, just looking at the pinpoints of where I'm at and how will I become who I want to be. And so thinking about like really what matters, and that kind of started with my baking business of okay, I want to be an entrepreneur, like let's start this. I don't have like the funding or whatever to like become a fashion company right now, but I enjoy baking. It brings me joy to like give to other people, and I know that as a gluten-free person, it can also like help people who don't have the best tasting homemade options. So that's when I also started my business. And 22, launching my small business, that's like when I felt the confidence really like coming out, and I was like, I'm really doing this, and going to these different pop-up events and describing who I am and the brand story behind why I started it. And I don't know, just like branching out, it was really great for me. And last year, like I felt like my life was going uphill again, because like high school was like slowly downhill, and COVID felt like a plateau. And then yeah, last year it felt like the sun was coming out and I was just able to feel like more at peace. And so yeah, there wasn't much of an external change, and like people will still tell me that I look like a middle schooler or a high schooler or whatever, but I feel like I've really matured a lot and have become like more wise in like the past year. And on my birthday, I had a phone call with my cousin, and she was like, oh, like you're 23, like do you feel any different, like do you feel your frontal lobe growing or like developing or whatever the saying is. And I truly like do feel different starting this year, like at 23. So now I'm going to talk about my 3 takeaways that I've learned in these 23 years of life. So the first one is embrace who you are. You are not and cannot become someone else, no matter how hard you try. This is like a reoccurring theme that I've kind of talked about in this episode, but I did not love who I was. I was bullied growing up, and so I wanted to get the farthest away of who I was. And I just want to say that no matter how hard you try, you can't. Like, you will always revert back to who God created you to be, and you are an extraordinary, unique person with a unique purpose, and there is so much value in who you are. And the way that God created you, like he did not make a mistake with creating who you are, and you have so much to offer in this world. And I don't know, you're just an amazing person, and we don't tell each other that enough, that we're these beautiful, extraordinary, amazing people. And with social media, I just feel like it can be really hard to value who you are as a person, because you like see these people on these brand trips or having a ton of money or whatever it is, and then it makes us feel like, oh, like wanting to covet and like become who that person is. And we're all like on our own paths, and I don't know, just like embrace who you are. Then my second point is take care of yourself. Health is a privilege. So just do this skincare routine. Have that time carved out in your week to do self-care and spend time with your friends, go to doctor's appointments, and get some sleep. Like, we spend so much time on our phones and just watching and consuming all this stuff, and we need to really give our brains a break, because decision fatigue is a real thing. And a lot of the time, what we need is just to take a break. Like, our phones will be there tomorrow, just turn it off and get the rest that you need, because for you to show up as the best version of yourself each day, you need to give your body and your mind that rest, and just like consuming the things that will bring you peace. I feel like a lot of us will also consume things knowing that it will negatively affect us, like following those different people that make you like feel bad about yourself. Like, just don't do it. It sucks, and you'll like regret it later, of like, oh my gosh, like why did I spend an hour, or like looking, and it's like, oh my gosh, 3 hours passed, like what the heck, like why did I spend so much time just like scrolling and obsessing over someone else's life, you know what I mean? I still do it too, by the way. I'm not trying to say like, oh, I don't do it. I definitely still do it, and I'm trying to like, that's one of my bad habits that I'm trying to break. But yeah, health is a privilege. Take care of yourself, love yourself more. And then my third point is have more compassion and grace for yourself and others. Forgiveness is really hard, truly. It's also something I'm really working on, forgiving myself. And that was a huge theme of 22, was forgiving the decisions and choices that I made, and the person that I was when I was younger. I just want to say that you are doing the best that you can. You were doing the best that you can. Have more compassion for yourself and more compassion for the people around you, especially for your parents and your older siblings and people who are older than you. Like, we're all adults, us older people, but we're all just living life for the first time, and just giving more grace to ourselves, because we've never done this before. Like, people who are parents, like when I talk to my mom, like this is her first time being a parent to a 23-year-old. Like, she's never done that before. Or I don't know, like someone who is like her older sibling, and they've never been an older sibling before. Like, they don't have it all figured out, and none of us have it all figured out. So I don't know, yeah, just like have more compassion for yourself and other people, and grace and all the things. And lastly, I just want to say thank you for listening. This is officially the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for watching it or listening to it in the end. And I'm just grateful that you've decided to spend however long this episode is with me. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.